students don't even have headphones for the laptops. And so you have a completely, disrupted place, and this is supposed to be an innovative model of education. Right, so we have a few concerns about some of these dual models being created. They have to fit a social justice perspective. They have to honor the tradition and the values of every community that they're being introduced to. And another thing about them is that they have to be culturally appropriate. Whatever you teach them has to be rooted in the history that the students come from. Because otherwise it's just about corporate, submission. Which is what a lot of these companies are doing. They're training a lot of these kids to just work for them in the future.
If you tilt the microphone towards your face, it'll be easier.
So, I guess what I'm saying is that as much as we talk about the innovation, we have to be sure that everything we're saying actually values, the truth of every child in the classroom, right? What paradigm are they being submitted to? And then beyond that, I want to say something about, the capacity of kids nowadays. There's this thing, the phenomenon of the indigo kids, right? They're the ones who have these supernatural abilities. They can do so many amazing things, and it's naturally occurring because of there's a phenomenon, it's a new phenomenon. A lot of the newer kids, they have this capacity to do some really, amazing supernatural things. Their brains are wired, in ways that in the past just weren't true. They can compute on just unbelievable levels. And so we have to harness that, right? If we understand that kids being born nowadays have a very, very developed cognitive capacity, well, we can actually put that to a social justice. We can say, how do you solve 500 years of racism in 5 months? Because now we have technology that speeds up a lot of the processes, right? You can think about fractals in a community perspective, how we spread out the energy that can line up in a community, even in times of depression. Right? So these are the really serious concerns that we have about education. That there's nothing new, about any of the innovative models being put out. This is truly indigenous, education, rooted in the land, in the seasons, in the culture, in the transformation of time, right? A complete understanding of who you are, your spirit, your soul, your body. This is the true, education a lot of us who were raised in Africa, South America, got to get, and this is what we see being replicated around the world in some of the talks of, the new models. So as much as, we talk about the creativity, let's remember where it came from. And let's remember that every child really does deserve to have a sense of who they are.
And let's remember that there are people who get paid bank to go around and teach all of you wonderful people what we've been doing for centuries, right? It's a cash cow. I think two quick things, and I really want to hear what you said because you had your hand up for a while, is that one, I think when I hear you, J. Love, talk about New York, it gives me so much joy and so much hope because there's a model through revolutionary struggle that's not fucking Harlem Children's Zone bullshit, right? That they're trying to hawk me in my community in Chattanooga as the thing that's gonna take these black kids, these poor kids, and save them. But really what it does is it gives them massive amounts of funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and then it turns these beautiful black, brilliant babies into whitewashed, assimilated mess, and they call it a success, right? So when I hear about that, it gives me joy, and it gives me hope, and I think there's something about that. There's something special about that. I think on the flip side, for me, when I think about the privatization of public education and this move towards technology, which I agree, I think is important, especially in this globalized, job market scene, is that I'll tell you the story about a person who once upon a time was a working class black student, right, that got conned into taking a homework class. So my name is Ashley, and I'm an Appalachian. I had moved to Chicago, I was starting an archive, and I wanted to stay. I was in higher ed, I was in my undergrad, and I wanted to stay enrolled in the school that I went to, East Tennessee State University. And so they were like, oh, the best way to do that is to take all these online courses. So I was like, okay, I can take 12 hours, that's nothing, and I'll do it online. I'm like, that'll be a breeze, right? I can self-manage, I'll be able to use all these great, resources in Chicago to make this grade, I'm ready to do it. By public, it was I don't even remember, public speaking class, some core class that you had to take. It was cheap, it was online. I was like, I'll do that. And literally, for the entirety of the semester, the professor got on and gave us one test, no further assignments. So the students then end up being like, okay, like, you have this great technology, why are we having to call me and be like, yo, if we get a bad grade in this class, like, all hell's gonna break loose because it wasn't our fault, right? The person who was administrating the class didn't show up, right? Then you have the other side of it where it's like you turn in trash, because you actually don't have to have any dialogue with your peers, you don't actually have to have any dialogue with the professor. And then you've got professors who show up, but they give you just completion grades, so you just go on the keyboard and go like this, right? And it's done, right? So there's contradictions of everything. And then I think finally, it's easy for us to like get into our needs and all the people that we hold in us and all the ways that we identify with education and be like, that's the thing that's gonna fix it, is me using this role to do it, right? So me, as an educator, I'm gonna fix it. It's gonna be my people that lead the charge. Or me, as a student, the most directly impacted, I'm gonna fix it. Or me as a parent, I'm gonna fix it. Or me as a community member that recognizes we're all parents of all of these kids. We're gonna fix it. It's gonna be us, right? Instead of sort of thinking about it holistically and recognizing that, like, yeah, maybe I'm not a researcher that's gonna be able to spit you stats about how technology is gonna be useful, right? That's not who I am. But I don't have to be that because we got that, right? Maybe I'm not the person that comes from like mad revolutionary struggle. It's gonna be the people that implement a democratic school, in a place. But I don't have to be that because you got that, right? I don't have to hold it down in Detroit. I can give you solidarity because you hold it down, right? It's gonna take all of that to fix it, right? It's gonna take all of that holistically together. We're not ever gonna share the same ideologies. We're not ever gonna have the same politics. We're not ever gonna agree on the massive conflicts that happen in this world. But what we can agree on is that these kids deserve something better than what we're giving them right now, right? We deserve better. And so figuring out how to